Hey, friends, thanks for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name. As you see, we have our friend Robert in studio today. Today is going to be another fun episode. Like I said, we are going to dive into his wrestling fandom. He is a referee on the independent circuit. We will kind of touch on that, but we're not going to dive into that career because that's every other podcast out there. I want to give a huge shout out to Joe Monroe over at the Joe Monroe Show. He likes to think he has a first place beard. Leroy likes to think he has a first place beard over at 13 Cards. Well, we all know I am the bearded man of podcasting. That's right. Crander Q, number one beard here. Robert, how are you doing today?
Doing all right, man. I'm excited to be on here finally.
Finally, right? I know it's been a process. My page blew up right after that vendor table there. I put one little silly TikTok out there. Wasn't my video. I will not take credit for that. I've been putting a lot of the WrestleMania stuff there for a while, and it got about 70,000 views, 500 new followers. It was basically a way to say I went viral, but I didn't go viral. It was somebody else's video, basically WWE's. But
Right.
it has been a process. I'm glad you stuck with us. We finally got Jaina on yesterday.
That's
I know I
cool.
told
That's
you I
cool.
fed my cats, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" I thought we were interviewing today, and I was like, "You're right. I just want to tell you about my day." So,
Sitting
but the
there
cats
eating
are fed.
breakfast. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
the cats are
ding.
fed, and we are ready to talk about you. Let's dive into those first wrestling memories of yours.
All right. Well, to be honest, starting the earliest the earliest memory that I have of wrestling, seeing wrestling first, is I was I don't remember if my dad was flipping through channels or if I was flipping through channels as a kid, but I remember seeing Thursday Thunder,
Okay.
WCW, and I think that's kind of where my fathom for Goldberg kind of came into play.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So saw that for maybe like a couple weeks if I remember it
Hmm.
correctly. Like I said, it was long time ago. But then after that, my mother and father figure they actually brought me to the Armory
Okay.
in Minneapolis, and at the time I was a kid with sensitive ears, so my ears couldn't really take handle
Hmm.
slamming of the mat and everything. So they're like, yep, that wasn't a good idea. And then when I really started getting into it was probably around the early 2000s.
Okay.
And so we're talking just after Rhino had speared Jericho through the Titantron.
Okay.
As right around there, because I remember seeing the Oval entrance for like maybe 2 weeks for SmackDown.
Okay.
Then it was like boom, the fist was there. And so that's when I started really getting into wrestling. And my mother and father figure actually brought me to the Minneapolis Convention Center, I believe, for a World of Wheels
Okay.
our show, and Stone Cold was there. And so that
Nice.
was he was the first wrestler that I actually got to meet in person was Stone Cold.
That's a really
And
big one for your first wrestler that you met. So
I somewhere it's not on my wall of autographs, but I still have the original promo autograph that he signed that day.
that's pretty badass. Not gonna lie.
So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the history on how I got into wrestling
Okay.
and got into watching it. So then, of course, you had the fist entrance for SmackDown, and that's
Hmm.
kind of around the time that Eddie Guerrero was feuding with JBL and
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
Batista with JBL, and that around that time frame.
Okay. Was there
So
any wrestlers that really stood out as a favorite? Any that drove you absolutely nuts for their heel work? I mean, I was a huge Eddie fan. You brought up Eddie, and those memories just always come back of WCW, and like you said, that JBL, the Brock Lesnar match. But who stuck out for you?
mm, well, obviously, of course, Eddie Guerrero with the whole Eddie, what we like to call the Eddie Guerrero spots, with the whole,
Hmm.
throwing the chair to the wrestler and, acting like he's laid out and stuff. That he was pretty good. But as far as heel goes, gotta say I really hated Eric Bischoff as a man, as a GM.
Okay.
I started watching Monday Night Raw probably maybe I want to say maybe a month or so after he came in as a manager.
Okay.
But then seeing him with like feud with Stone Cold and everything, it's just like, God, can we get this guy off of TV? Can we just get this guy off TV? So yeah, it was definitely at the time Bischoff for me was the whole heel thing, and then of course he brought in the NWO for Monday Night Raw, and uh, there's so many of them, but those are the ones that really stick out to me as far as
Hmm.
when I think back on when I was watching wrestling, early days of wrestling.
And you mentioned the NWO coming to Raw, and it's so unfortunate. It's also, I don't know why I always look up. It's like I'm looking for an answer or something. It's my new thing to do on the show. It's so unfortunate that fizzled out on WWE, because I mean they could have had a run. They could have had a nice little story arc, but Kevin Nash got hurt. Scott Hall and his demons. I believe they added Shawn Michaels
Yeah,
as well, and he got injured. So it was just kind of like uh, the flame that just fizzled so quick. I was a huge WCW kid. I love the NWO. DX was kind of second fiddle in my opinion. I like the Hollywood Hogan persona, not his real life antics. I do not support that, but as the character that I saw on TV, I was just captivated by him. And you bring up Bischoff, and I thought when I met all those guys that they were just going to be just smug. I'm rich. I'm here to do a job. Don't talk to me more than 5 seconds. Here's your autograph. Get out.
right.
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff. Amazing. Just amazing to meet. And I got to meet Nash and Hall a few times over the course of my wrestling adventures. And I always bring up Paul Scott Hall. Was so excited for Sean Waltman getting cleaned up. He looks amazing, by the way. And those guys were so nice. And I went into it thinking, okay, this is what they always talk about is don't meet your heroes, kids, because sometimes they'll disappoint you.
Right, right,
And
right.
that's farther from the truth of those guys. They were just super nice. And I just remember telling Nash and Bischoff, hey, thanks for making my childhood awesome. And, both of them had a kind of response like, thanks for making us rich, kid. So it was kind of funny to hear that because, it was so popular back then. So,
Yeah, you mentioned Scott Hall. One of those guys that I've met that I've come to find out is really genuine in person,
mhm.
was DDP.
Okay.
DDP was pretty cool. I've heard many stories, good and bad, about people meeting him in person, and
Mhm.
you get up there and I get up there and I said, hey, can I shake your hand? Oh yeah, no problem.
Mhm.
Thank him for his work and everything, and excited me kind of went and asked for him to put me into the diamond cutter for our picture. And he goes and says, no, 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 no. He says, that's only for the kids, man. That's only for the kids. And he goes and says, man, you're a snake. And I didn't notice it when at first when I got the autograph, but when I got home, I noticed on the action figure that he signed for me, he literally put to Nate the snake.
Wow.
And I'm like, well,
It's unique to
okay.
you now, so, and you
Right.
got that story behind it. DDP. Wow, those letters are just trickling off my tongue today. Just an underdog story, right? I mean, no one
Right.
expected him to be the superstar that he became. I like DDP. I had his action figure. And then the classic line, "Diamond upside down" is we won't say
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought that was great in the movie. I love Ready to Rumble. That's
Ready to
one of the
Rumble
best
was
wrestling movies
great.
ever.
I think Ready
But
to Rumble was really a underrated movie.
hmm even if you don't like wrestling, it's a great comedy.
Yep.
It's a great little story. I still quote it. I got a chance to meet David Arquette. I wish they would make a sequel to that one with all the sequels coming back up. But yeah, DP. That was at the MAW show. I'm assuming you met him at, or was it a different one? Or
Yeah, it was I believe it was that Grand Slam, the last
okay,
Grand
yep.
Slam that they had.
I went
Yep.
over and gave him some stickers and gave him an autograph. I said, "Thanks for coming. I know uh, you're doing a lot of stuff here. I just want to come over and say thanks for also making my childhood awesome, because I just remember him with the NWO, and then, they all thought he was going to join, and he just said, nope, nope, nope. Boom, diamond
Oh
cutter
yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
Hall and
Oh
off
yeah.
to the races. So, main event star from that point on. So, it sucks that he had a horrible run again with WWE, but again, at the end of that, run, injuries and stuff, and I think he could have had a pretty good run over in WWE.
Well, he did for a while.
Yeah, that Undertaker stalker stuff was a little weird, but yeah.
Yeah. That part, the stalker stuff was just kind of just but then I think he kind of cleaned it up a little bit with the whole "that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing" run that he had. And
Yeah,
I
and
was
it's so
I was
weird to
like,
see him with that short hair too. I mean, that kind of was like,
yeah.
what is he doing? But it's great to see him in the Hall of Fame. Everything he's done for Scott Hall and Jake the Snake, getting those boys back to where they need to be in life. Otherwise, we would have lost a couple good legends. Jake the Snake. I know he's had some issues in post, being clean, but he's out there thriving. He's showing up for his appearances. He's super nice. He was at another MAW show that I went to, and it just I've already met him once or twice before that, and I was just like, hey man, like I really appreciate you coming. Here's my stickers. He's like, oh, you got a podcast? Okay, everybody's got a podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, we do. But yours is way better, obviously. The Snake Pit. So
Most definitely, most definitely.
I mean, this is a bottom tier podcast, folks. If you're watching or listening, we're not famous yet, but you can help us by liking and subscribing and checking out our Facebook. Segues. But back to you, Robert. As you got older, did the passion die out for wrestling, or have you been kind of since you got back into it in the 2000s? Has it just been steady for you? I know a lot of people drop out of their
Oh,
fandom.
we had a head pop in here for a minute.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I was too busy closing my eyes trying to. Oh,
We got Mr. Oliver Williams
is
messing
that a
with me.
bird? Is that a bird? I don't like birds. You know
Oh,
that.
I'm being smacked around by Robert. By, Jesus.
Oh my gosh, we're losing control, folks.
My
Stay
name
tuned.
and keep it out of your mouth.
Anywho,
sorry, back to the question.
did you ever lose your fandom with your wrestling there? I know a lot of people kind of step away for a bit, but when they get back into it, it's like a whole breath of fresh air for them.
I've kind of come and go a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
with the whole, being into wrestling thing, if something kind of piques my interest, I'll, throw on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or something, but with this whole, I'm gonna dig into this a little bit, but with this whole, McMahon being gone now thing,
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like the product is starting to get better, but I really still think that there's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
So, but I do truly believe that they are definitely headed in the right direction with the current product.
Yeah, and for me, like, those years of just horrible storylines, I missed a lot of that, with the, um, I don't know how do you describe it, the derogatory stuff towards women and stuff, like that era, I'm glad I missed a lot of that. And then now, like you said, with him being gone, it seems like There's a little bit more relaxation, a little bit more flow to things. The future's super bright for wrestling all over. I know we've had people on who have never actually gone to a live event, and that's fine.
Right.
There's also people that don't watch AEW at all, and that's fine. It's how your fandom excites you, and that's okay. I won't tell anybody that they're wrong. I won't tell anybody that the way they look at wrestling is wrong because it's personal to you. Like me, I love the independents.
Oh
That's
yeah.
where I love to be. I like to be in the weeds of it, where I can talk to the wrestlers, talk to the talent, be ringside and talk smack to referees. Never talk smack to my friend Oliver Williams though, because he's the best manager out there. Hashtag join the mafia. But
Well, sometimes people got to give Oliver crap for a little bit.
I'll never say a bad word about Oliver. You can quote that at the 15-minute mark here. So it's actually 16. I lied. So, but yeah. So, what was it that kind of got you interested in probably getting yourself into the business? Was there a moment? Was there a person? How did you kind of get your toes wet? How did you jump in?
How did I get into the business? Um,
Is he back there
actually,
laughing at you?
it's actually funny that Oliver actually kind of came in here a little bit because he's actually the one that actually got me into reffing.
Okay.
He says he's sorry. But no. I kind of knew the basics, and they needed a ref one night, and he kind of looked at me and just said, "Here you go."
Enjoy it.
So that's kind of how I got into that. I mean, I did start on ring crew for a bit before, diving into the whole referee thing.
Okay.
And that was kind of cool. Went out to Wisconsin, went down to Iowa for a show too. And it's kind of how I started out. I don't know, we had Fred Yerke. I'm pretty sure you
Yep.
know who that is.
Yep.
Yep.
Fred
He
and
was,
Jason and
yep.
yep.
They're kind of the ones that kind of got me into the business, So yeah, kind of got them to thank for that.
So you're basically a Yerky by trade, so it's not too bad.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So let's dive into that a little bit. I want to kind of, pull back the curtain, as they say. What were those car rides like? I'm sure you got to ride with a few of them, or, have you ever got to ride when they were traveling with talent? Were you privy to that, or did you just get stuck with Oliver?
Pretty much got stuck with Oliver. There was a few times during when I was in ring crew, I got to travel with Fred, and car rides with him. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they're actually really fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big oldies music fan.
Okay.
So, when you're traveling, at least when I'm traveling with him, he likes to put on like Cool 108 and stuff like that. So those are kind of fun. But lots of the times I'm with Oliver because he's my ride out for most of the shows. And not gonna lie, just the rides with Oliver and a couple times I get to travel with the Summit.
Okay.
And the car rides with them are just absolutely awesome. Anything that you get told about the Summit and Oliver Williams when it comes to traveling is absolutely true. They make you one of them.
Okay.
Just a couple of weeks ago, at least I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago or something. Me, Oliver, and the Summit, we went out to Marinette, Wisconsin.
Okay.
For UTL, Under the Lights Entertainment.
Okay. I was trying to figure out which one is that, because there's like 20 promotions in our neck of the woods here.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that seems like a new one. I know there's Northern Lights. There's the ACW. There's so many.
But yeah, no. So I got to travel with the Summit and Oliver for that show, and gosh, like Marinette's like probably 5 hours away or something like that, 4.5 hours,
Mhm.
and just the whole time, just Oliver's giving me crap and joking around with me. Summit's sitting there doing the same thing. I'm laughing. I'm having a good time, and it's like I said, they make you one of them.
Yeah. I mean, those car rides, I mean, you just mentioned 4 or 5 hours away. That's not including when you get to the venue. So you're already traveling 5 hours. You're there for at least 5 or 6. And then you have to do another, 4 or 5 in the car. I mean, that's a day, folks. And if you're not supporting independent wrestlers, keep that in mind that they're traveling and they're putting in a full day's work. So buy that merch, get those autographs, get those selfies, pay the wrestlers, let them know that you
Most
appreciate them
definitely.
coming because it is a big deal. And I've done it where I've drove down to Chippewa, my hometown. You were there, Oliver was there, the Summit was there, my friends.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right. Name dropping because I'm popular, but and I spent. I don't know. I was there at 3, and I think I left at 10, and then I got in the car and drove 2 hours. So that was almost, oof,
Pretty
half a
much.
day.
Yeah.
Just doing wrestling stuff. And granted, yes, I wasn't the one taking the bumps or taking the beating, but just putting in that energy to talk with people, promote my podcast, that was a little tiring. I can only
Oh
imagine what you
yeah.
guys go through, putting your bodies out there, and then having to just pile back in the car, and then like, all right, we got 4 hours to go, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for that UTL show that we did, we actually ended up staying at a hotel for the
Okay.
night. Because most definitely would have been tiring getting back at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, nobody trusted Oliver with driving, and I don't blame him.
I think his driving is all right.
Yeah, but is there any PG shenanigans that you can share with us? Any funny road stories? Any little dares they made you do? Anything like that? Any ribs, as they would say?
Uh not none that really come to mind, all
Okay,
honesty. I mean, it's
nothing PG. Just kidding. Just kidding.
well, it's all PG, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just your typical. We're just gonna give you crap, and we're just gonna
Mhm.
joke around with you. Hey, Nate, you guess what? You're bald. You got a tennis ball head. Oh, okay.
I mean, is it Fury or no? Joe's going bald. Excuse me. So no, yeah, I'm gonna catch heat from the guys. There are cool guys. Check them out. The Summit on Facebook, Instagram,
Indeed.
Twitter, and all that stuff. They gave me a shirt right out the gate, and I gave them some stickers and a stupid little 4x4
There you
autograph.
go.
And
There
they
you
come
go.
back with a shirt, and I was like, holy cow! You guys are like the greatest thing ever because you carry fat guy sizes and no one else does. So, and I got to work with Oliver and his wife at my vendor table there for Below Zero Wrestling. And, me and Oliver just hit it off. And since we've been, talking all the time, I'm sure he's annoyed with me because I'm always constantly, hey, I got some more wrestling stuff to show you. I got some more pages to show you. But, he's been on my show. I got to get him back on, get him in here to talk some more shop. But did you have any inspiration as you started refereeing? Was there anybody that you kind of took cues from besides Oliver in the business?
Um, One guy that really stuck out to me back in when I would watch his stuff from back in the 90s was obviously Earl Hebner.
Okay.
Earl Hebner. Really, really liked his take no crap from anybody
Hmm.
style. If they shoved him, and he shoved them back type thing. But other than Earl Hebner, a guy that I really like to watch referee was Charles Robinson.
Yes, little Nate. Yep.
Yeah, Charles Robinson. You had Charles Robinson, you had Earl Hebner, and then the other guy that kind of did the whole take no crap from anybody was Nick Patrick.
Yes, I was trying to think what his first name was.
Yep.
I always loved him in WCW, and then how he had his own little story there for a while
Yeah.
as like the NWO ref, and I always thought that was kind of cool to spotlight, the referee a little bit there. So
Yeah, most definitely. Like, there's so many referees out there that kind of have their own style.
hmm
So I mean, you got some of the referees out there that take more serious pride into their work and everything, and then you have other referees out there that just kind of do the whole laid back style. So you got what's her name in Aubrey Edwards.
Adriana,
Yeah, Aubrey
yep,
Edwards. Yep,
Edwards. There we go.
you got her out there. You got I forget the woman ref in WWE though. I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Jessica, I believe it is, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that. Yeah,
She's getting a lot of main event and top match stuff. I've noticed. I know Edge was a big fan of her.
yeah. I actually follow
Um,
her on TikTok.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, most
Uh,
most definitely interesting to watch.
yeah, and then there's Alicia Fox's sister. She's a ref as well, and I see she's all over as well. And then there was the little orange guy. I called him the little muscular guy. He's
And
always around too,
oh yeah,
repping for WWE. So he
yeah,
stands out a lot just because he's so orange looking.
yeah,
So yeah. And we got Aubrey, and Jessica. We also got Jana Pride. She's
yes,
all over the circuit now. She was
yes,
just on a previous episode. Go check it out. She's been on various shows with me with Mayhem Media. And she just seems like she's everywhere. She's got the green hair that's making her stick out. What do you think some of your things are that help you stick out as a ref, besides getting beat up by Oliver?
I, I'm still kind of in the whole learning phase
Okay.
of reffing. So, just kind of trying to find my own style and, see where I fit
hmm
and that whole thing. But, it's one of those things where, you see other referees ref and you take little bits and pieces of their work
hmm
and you put it into your own work and you make it your own. So like for instance, for example, the whole Earl Hebner take no crap from anybody thing,
hmm
I kind of try to incorporate that a little bit into my work. And, you mentioned Jaina, um, definitely seen a lot of her work,
hmm
kind of looked her up on YouTube and whatnot. And, she has her own style too. And, it's like I said, it's one of those things where you take stuff from other people
hmm
and you incorporate it into your own work and you make it your own. You make it your own style. You make it unique. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Gotcha. Now we brought up Earl Hebner. Do you remember that iconic moment where he was face to face with his brother in the ring, and everybody thought they got a guy to have plastic surgery, and then he like double crossed Hogan? I remember that being like, just like, oh my gosh. But then you realize as an adult, like, oh, he's just got a twin brother. But
Why don't
as
I
a
remember
kid,
this?
I implore you to look it up because it was like so crazy. And then, put yourself in that childhood perspective of like, they're like, oh, it's a fake. But it's just so crazy because I remember like, hook, line, and sinker. Oh my gosh, they got a guy to get plastic surgery to look like just like the rep. That's crazy. So yeah, talk about just crazy. And then his brother does autograph signings. He does autograph
Oh
signings. Another
yeah.
iconic moment. With the Bret Hart match. I know he said that he got the hell out of there after the Montreal Screw job. And unfortunately, Brett was mad at him, but he had to do what his boss told him.
Yeah, there's when it comes to the Montreal screw job, I think there's a lot of loopholes that
Mhm.
that we have heard about, and I'm sure I'm just gonna say it. I'm sure there's a lot of loopholes that we still haven't heard about,
Right,
and it's just one of those things where I don't know, man. It's one of those things you kind of think about, and you're just like, okay, was it a work? Was it not a
right,
work?
right. Like, is the reason that he keeps bringing that up is because like he wants people to think that he's still mad about it, all these
Right?
years later. I'm sure Bob Orton's still got a cast on. I mean, if he doesn't, I'm going to be super mad when I meet him and he doesn't have a cast on. But there were so many, like you said, loopholes and variables. Like both sides were at fault if it was real. Like yeah, one side was kind of shady, but also Brett could have just did the thing, not make it so dramatic, but
Yeah.
who knows? It is kind of funny to think that, on his last breath says, "Hey, we got you, folks," some 40 years later would be the biggest ha ha, in
Well,
pro wrestling.
then of course they had that Bret Hart versus McMahon thing for
Mhm.
WrestleMania, and
Yeah, that was,
they brought the
yeah.
Montreal Screwjob thing into that, and it's just like, okay, if this wasn't a work,
Mhm.
and you had people mad at each other, why would you bring this into play for a
Right.
match at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Like we said, there's so many loopholes that you could be thinking about, but
Yeah. That's the best thing about it. Just, the wonder and the is it, was it kind of stuff. Same with, Paul Heyman kind of stirring the pot with the Undertaker's streak ending with Brock, saying, well, did Brock go into business for Brock? Or did they actually talk about it? Who's
yeah,
gonna tell Brock
yeah.
Lesnar no? And it's just like, it could, but I don't see Brock doing that to Taker. But it puts a little bit of doubt in your mind to make you still get suckered in and those conspiracy theories. So I kind of like that. It makes it fresh. It makes it interesting. You know.
Yeah, I've actually heard, upon reading various things on the internet, that Taker actually did not want Brock. He wanted Wyatt.
And I feel like that would have been the one that, just that passing of the torch. And I always had this like dumb fandom thing where I thought it'd be kind of iconic for Kane as well
Yeah,
to bury him in his last match. So then he could just, be done. It'd be kind of a cool, story slash creative thing that, is with them, where it's a buried alive match, and I don't think he's won a buried alive match or a casket match that I can think of, but like just putting it to rest, in a pun intended,
no, yeah,
and go out in a blaze of glory on that last one, even if he doesn't win, having that be the finish,
yeah,
where he just finally just puts him down and then it's over. But I agree, Bray should have been the one and then the only one, but with Roman, it's Roman, but what are you going to do?
yeah.
So after you lose one, what's another one actually? So
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, they had him. They had Taker. What they had him lose against Brock, and then they had him win a couple, and then he had him lose like one
yeah,
or two, and it's like, wait, what?
yeah. And I think they also said that Vince wanted a big shock, being WrestleMania 30. Just like 40 here was a big deal, which makes sense. Those iconic numbers have iconic things to go with them. But I mean, they could have did something else to make a big boom, and not cost Taker's streak. Um, and that's still one of my favorite WrestleManias, just because Daniel Bryan was on his Yes movement, and I
Yep.
really love that first match with Triple H and Daniel Bryan. When people ask me what's my favorite match, like that's one of my go tos because I just like the story behind it. Both guys are, overcoming something. Yeah, it was just a fun match. But any future goals for you in wrestling and refing out there?
As far as refing goes, I'm as far as repping goes, I'm kind of content where I'm at.
Okay.
I've got All Out Pro Wrestling going on. I've got no not sure if I'm doing more of them, but I just did some referee work for Northern Lights, and then I've also got the Under the Lights Entertainment. But currently I'm content with where I'm at in refing, with those three promotions and whatnot. But I would say, as far as goals go, I would like to work more. I would like to work more, like carnival shows.
Okay.
So um, like county fair type things, and then get out to more states. You know,
There you go.
I don't I don't really travel much, but I know there's opportunity out there, so
Mhm.
it's just all about taking those baby steps and getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing with wrestling. I bring it up all the time. You get to meet a lot of unique people, and to network. This is a way to get your brand out there, as well as just kind of see who's out there. I know we met through wrestling down there at All Out Pro,
Oh yeah.
and then now you're on the show. Who knows? We bump into another show, and then you meet somebody I know. It's just a big domino effect, and it'd be kind of cool to see you get at those county fairs. Get yourself a corn dog, and then ref the main event.
Yeah,
No big
right,
deal. And then
right.
just get a funnel cake and push it in Oliver's face. That's the only thing I'll ever say disrespectful to Oliver. So
Hmm.
there's a spot for you guys every show. It's the
Funnel
only
cakes
fried food that I
now.
can think that's going to be,
I think I
uh,
might have to keep that one in mind.
but where can the people find you? Do you have any social medias to plug? And then we'll go from there here.
Where you can find me currently as of right now, I'm not aware of any bookings right now,
Okay.
but Facebook page Robert Everson. That's where you can find me. I'm always posting the shows that I'll be at, on there, and yeah, that's about the only page that I have right now.
Gotcha.
Currently
Gotcha.
is the
And then
Facebook
once you get
page.
4 or 5 of them, then it's just a headache to keep them all going. I know,
Exactly,
so
exactly.
it's just crazy. I'm just focused on the Facebook and YouTube right now. Once I have some more people on board, I'll get the other ones going. But do you have any messages you want to give out to wrestling fans or wrestlers? This is the time for you to kind of get your message out there in your closing statements here.
You know, I'm just gonna be honest. If you would have told me 10 plus years ago that I would be sitting here refing and actually being in the business, I'm not gonna lie, I would have looked at you and said you're a liar, because
Okay.
I never thought in a million years that I would be in the business, let alone refing. And you hear everybody sit there, you watch the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, and
Mhm.
you always hear them say, "Oh, this is a great business to work in, but it is hard work, and you hear that, but you never really experience it.
Mhm.
And I can tell you firsthand, it is an awesome business to be in, but yes, it is hard work. You know, you got to put in the work to get to where you want to be at. And I've been doing referee work for, believe, almost 2 years now, and I'm always still learning. I'm always learning and everything, but it is definitely a great business to work in. You meet a lot of great people, you know, I'm not gonna lie, seeing your podcast, and everything, I've always looked at it, and people being on it, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm never gonna be on, Friends of the Squared Circle, that seems more high up than where I'm at and everything. And then you came up to me and Jana at the All
Mhm.
Out Pro Wrestling show, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is actually happening.
Yeah, it took a while. I mean, it's been like 5 6 months, but we finally got you here.
Yeah, because
I think I had my wedding after that, so that kind of was a blur there, and so finally getting back to all these messages, and it's so funny. Don't think of us as big time. Like I said, we're bottom tier. And just take those chances because just by saying hi, you never know where it's going to lead. So
exactly, exactly. You really don't. I always, in the beginning was always thinking, in my head, how am I gonna get my name out there?
mhm.
How am I gonna get fans and
Yep.
everything? And you put my name out there a little bit, in the beginning,
Hmm.
and even then I was like, oh, it may generate, maybe 50 fans, but then all of a sudden, next thing you know, here I am sitting with you on Friends of the Squared Circle, and it's like, yes.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk off camera about some other things. I'm always willing to help you. If you need me to plug something, or if you got something to share, I'm your guy. I know I've been lacking in that because WrestleMania season, I was just posting about all of that. But if you need any help with social media stuff, graphics, you've seen the stuff I've made for Oliver as well.
Most definitely, most
So
definitely. Great
just
work, by the way.
yeah, thank you. Just let me know. I'm here to help. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to sit on secrets or not help the next guy because I want us all to succeed. So when you guys are all millionaires, you'll be like, you remember that silly little podcast guy with the great beard? Yeah, let's reach out to him. He's kind of funny. Let's get him on our show finally.
Right, most definitely, most definitely.
But all right, well, we'll wrap it up here. If you are like Robert and want to be on a future episode, hit us up. We're a little delayed in our responding because we have so many messages, but we're always looking to talk to you, the fans of pro wrestling. So check us out on Facebook at Friends of the Square Circle, as well as YouTube. Send us a message if you want to be in the driver's seat because I'm the passenger. You guys all do the work. I just take credit for it. Reach out to us. We'll get you on a future episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. It's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out. Oh, jingle.